Mortgage rates today are all over the place. My goodness, everywhere you look, you're going to find something different. Today, we're going to talk about exactly where to find accurate interest rates, how to comb through all that BS, and I've got a bonus tip for you at the end regarding mortgage insurance. And interest rates. We're going to talk basically about 4 topics here about mortgage rates today. We're going to talk about where to look, why rates look different from site to site, sifting through all that BS that exists out there. I'm going to try to tell you what is real, what is not, where to find actual accurate rates, and I've got that bonus tip for you as well. So before we jump into these topics, I'd be forever grateful. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and click that bell icon to be notified as I'm putting out weekly videos on the channel. Now, where to look? This is extremely important because most banks, most lender sites, they're going to publish their 30-year fixed or maybe a couple of additional options right on their website. So as you can see here and kind of paging through, you can see where I'm actually going to and linking right to mortgage rates. And typically, if you go into the mortgage tab of said lenders or banks, you can actually find their rate sheet posted right there on their website. So now we kind of find where to look, or at least give you a sense of it. Now, what I do want to show you is, and we're going to roll right into topic number 2, is why rates look different. Now, every single website that you have these rates that are posted they require to have some sort of variables that basically equate to that rate and that quote unquote APR. So in this case, you can kind of see, or where you saw maybe before, is that we've got a $300,000 mortgage with 20% down with an estimated credit score. I want to say it said 760. And then with 1 point. So you're actually paying 1 point to get said rate. Now you go to the next website and it might say $400,000 mortgage. Well, my point would be is that the variables are different. So when you talk about a big topic of what are mortgage rates today, it's an impossible answer because that answer is specific to you and you alone. Because now we're looking at what is your down payment? What is your zip code? What is your credit score? All these different things matter when we're going into the interest rates. So am I telling you that you can't find an accurate interest rate? No, not at all. But this is why rates look different. These variables are different from website to website. Now I'm going to bring you up here as we're talking about this topic is one of these aggregators of interest rates across basically the internet. And people pay to get themselves on here. Now, as you can see here, and I'll kind of highlight too as well, is that all these different interest rates have different amount of points. You are paying a variable difference of fees to be able to get these interest rates. Now, you can see there's a rate with, say, 6.75 with 0 points, and you can see a rate with 6.625 that maybe costs a point and a half. Heck, that's thousands and thousands of dollars. 1 point is 1% of your loan amount. So if you are on this scenario of a $300,000 mortgage, 1 point is $3,000, a point and a half, $4,500 to get, say, 6.625, $0 to get 6.75. Well, 6.75 is probably a better deal here, even though it's an eighth higher, because you have to pay $4,500 just to get down to here. Now you can see why in this chart is that you can see all these different kind of points as it relates to the rate, right? So this is where you really have to be careful and better understand what exactly they're showing you. When I say sift through that BS, what I mean is you have to be able to look at what is the fee structure? Is this an actual reputable lender? There's something to be said to make sure in finding that rate and what are mortgage rates today, like understanding what's that budget, where should I be, what should I be locking in. This is very important, but necessarily finding the absolute lowest rate isn't necessarily finding kind of the best terms for you and your family. So as we talk about kind of sifting through that BS, really what I want to highlight is looking at the lender itself and then looking at what is the fee structure associated. You really have to be able to understand those two before you can really equate apples to apples in some of these scenarios. Now, let's talk about the last topic here, topic number 4, where to find accurate, solid rates, right? So with that said, I'm going to take you onto the screen here, and this is just a basic online search, and you can see here is the drastic change of credit score, right? So in this case, you can see how the different down payments, how the credit score changes. Makes a huge difference in terms of your interest rate. So keep that in mind, that if you're going in, and I would suggest, and this is my kind of tip for you, is that you're looking at like an online search engine like this and put your actual specifics in. This could give you a very good indication of where your interest rate's going to be, because it's aggregating all this different information across the websites or across the internet and then put it on their website, right? Now, the other avenue that I would suggest or recommend that you go to is FreddieMac.com. As you can see on the website here and page down, you can see where they have a chart, and this is where they're going to actually put on their average 30-year fix. They do a weekly survey, and they show you exactly where the average 30-year fixed according to all loans that were delivered to them the week prior. So if you've heard of FreddieMac.com, they are a GSE, or a government-sponsored entity. Basically, they went into conservatorship after the financial crisis. So they were previously kind of private. Now they're kind of owned by the government, quote unquote, but they're again in conservatorship. So I know that's slightly different. But with that said, they are an open market in terms of mortgages. So they're seeing what mortgage brokers and banks and lenders like myself would be delivering to them, and then they can put together a survey. That's why this is probably the absolute best indication of the average 30-year fixed across the country, because you can see a very, very large institution that has no skin in the game of where interest rates are at. They're not affecting interest rates. They're buying the mortgages at the end of the road, packaging them up, putting them over to investors, but they're buying them to keep the capital market liquid, right? So with that said, great spot to be able to find that. Now, my bonus tip, if you made it this far, thank you so much. Click that subscribe button. Over 97% of the people watching these videos are not subscribed. So my little shameless plug there. So now my bonus tip though, now when we try to understand what are mortgage rates today, what should I be budgeting for? What should I be shopping for? Where should I be at? You also need to understand, if you have less than 20% down, a majority of the websites will show you a mortgage insurance amount that is considerably higher than what you're going to get. During COVID, we saw the mortgage insurance providers update their rate sheets based on credit scores. If you have a good credit score, my guess is your mortgage insurance quote would be much lower than what you think it is. It's going to be much lower than what the average website tells you. If you go onto my website, it's going to be pretty darn close, because I make a point to continue to update rates and or mortgage insurance rates on that site. So you can find my info down in the description below. But with that said, if you go onto an average website, say one of those real estate websites, and you go on a mortgage calculator and you look and see what it says about mortgage insurance, I bet you it's almost double of what the actual amount is if you've got a decent or above average credit score. So if you want to know more about the mortgage insurance, keep watching the videos. I've done some on the topic, and I'll be doing more in the future. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe. Put your questions below. We'll see each other again very, very soon.